as I literally prayed for you today. We're in a series in habits for peace. And the idea is that our world is so full of chaos. We are the least peaceful people that have lived. We're all stressed out, and it's the technology. And last month, we looked at why we're lonely. The same reasons why we're lonely. The irony is not only are we lonely, but we're also extremely stressed. And the culture does that to us. And so the habits for peace, when less is more. That's today. And so the biggest lies we tell are what? The lies we tell ourselves. Okay, more is better. And this, just so you know, this is one of the lies that it's not hoarding unless it's fabric. Now, I have to tell you, there's a lot of fabric in our house right now because Lisa decided that she wasn't going to wait for retirement to start quilting. And so she's, you thought hunting was expensive or going to the lake was expensive. That's a next level stuff, fabric. Anyway, but we got this idea. And it's in all of us because it's what we do. We're American. We like to consume and we like to have. We feel like the more we consume and the more we have, somehow the more satisfied we'll be. And you say, how much is enough? I don't care who you are. If you were to be honest with me, or if you asked a billionaire, how much is enough? What's the answer always? A little bit more. If I had a little more, I could do this, this, and that. Maybe you were young and you looked at somebody and you said, man, they make 40 grand a year. If I made 40 grand a year, I would be this new job, if I'm there this many years, I might make that kind of money, And then and for a lot of us, you hit 40 grand. And did you have more money when you hit 40 grand, anybody? No? We spend it. We find a way. We go from the junker to the nice car. We upgrade this, we upgrade that, we do this, we do that. And the thing is about all of this stuff that we have, everything we have owns a little bit of. Now, everybody here, this is the danger thing with this message, because it is probably, if it hits your heart in a right way, it could change your life, but you're different than everybody else. At least we all think that. This, no one here is going to think this message is for you. But and I was thinking about this morning as I was praying that, because you could look at my sermon today and you could say, well, that's kind of flippant, just kind of, less is more, nice, cute little catchy slogan or whatever. But then I was reflecting on my own devotional life and the sanctification process that is happening when I'm interacting with the Lord, and a whole lot of it is the battle for my attention and my time. And do you know what comes naturally is to just want more of all this stuff, but there's no room for Jesus. And you'll hear me say this later in the message as well, but I was praying through this morning as I was walking that dog. And I was thinking of you, and I thought to myself, if there's no room in your time for Jesus, I don't think there's any room in your heart for Jesus, because there's no faking it. You can come up and go, yeah, well, I've asked Jesus in my heart, and you might even believe that. But if you look at your week in the last week and you didn't have any time for Jesus in your week, I don't know. I'm not saying you're not saved. I'm not saying that at all. God is the only one that does that. What I will say is he's not taking up much room in your heart if he's not taking up any room in your week. And so this less is more. It isn't a cute sermon. It isn't just a new way of doing things. But let's jump into Acts. Now, this Bible, we're using this as a metaphor this morning, so don't beat up on me for the theology, okay? But this is a metaphor for what we're talking about. Acts chapter 27, verse 1, it says, when the time came, we set sail. What was happening here is that Paul was arrested. He said, hey, God, can I go to Rome and preach? I want to preach in Rome. And he was praying this because he wrote about it in some of his letters. I want to get to Rome and preach. Well, Rome gets to go to Rome, or Paul gets to go to Rome, but he doesn't get to preach. He goes as a prisoner. He's arrested. So he's traveling to Rome, and that's what's happening right now. Acts 27, verse 1. And when the time came, we set sail for Italy. Paul and several other prisoners were placed in the custody of a Roman officer named Julius, a captain of the Imperial Regiment. By the way, a little piece of trivia for you. When it says we set sail, who was we and must have gone with Paul to Rome? Luke, the biographer. So Paul is on the ship, and the storm came. And they're freaking out and they're so upset, and so everyone said, hey, I got an idea. Let's just begin to eat. Verse 38. So when they had all eaten enough, they lightened the ship and they threw all the wheat into the sea. Less is sometimes more. Less is sometimes. Times more. And I want to encourage you to practice the habit of simplifying, of I have enough. I want you to be able to say that today. I have enough. Now, I actually, I've read some books and done some things, and actually, a few years ago, I watched well, I read a book about Steve Jobs. A lot of you probably read the same book, and this is the video. We're going in the middle on this video a little bit, so it's already described. It's describing the time that Steve Jobs wanted his entire company, Apple, to all wear the same kind of weird utopian jacket. So that's where we're picking up this story. Oops.
Get booed off the stage. Everybody hated the idea. But despite the failed attempts to implement uniforms, there was some good that came out of the experience. It led to Jobs and Issei forming a friendship that resulted in the successful creation of a uniform, if only for one person, Jobs himself. He became enamored with the idea of wearing the same thing every day, not only for the convenience, but also to establish a signature style, which Steve Jobs had already done for Apple and now wanted to do for himself. He said, so I asked Issei to make me some of his black turtlenecks that I liked, and he made me like 100 of them. I have enough to last for the rest of my life. But it wasn't only the black turtleneck that defined Jobs' personal uniform. He also wore a pair of Levi's 501 original fit jeans and a pair of sneakers, usually New Balance. The outfit quickly became Jobs' signature look, and inspired fans like me to recreate the style themselves, which probably wasn't the most socially acceptable thing to wear in high school, but it was fun nonetheless. In fact, people became so passionate that after Jobs' death in 2011, they flocked to purchase his iconic turtleneck from a company called St. Croix. The clothing label claims a fan of St. Croix.
Oh, and I guess that's where I thought the video was getting boring for you. So I read that book and I thought I wish I could be eccentric and be a billionaire so I could just wear the same thing every day. So it was about that. It was 4 or 5 years ago that I made a decision. You know what? I'm going to dress better on Sundays, but nobody cares what I wear in my life. So I bought enough black T-shirts from Costco that I got a bulk deal, and I think I bought like 30 of them or 35 of them or something like that, and black T-shirts, and I just started wearing those all the time, and I would take out 10 at a time, wear them until they looked bad, and then I'd throw them all away. And then I would just take out the next 10, and I would wear those. And I found out they last about a good year before they start getting linty and stuff. And so I did that. And then I would wear, I have, years ago, I buy them these camp shirts, and like what are they called again? Tommy Bahama. Most of them are Tommy Bahama shirts. But then I was doing it. It was right before I went on sabbatical. I took them to get cleaned. Because I don't get them very dirty, so I get a couple of wears out of them because I would only wear them on Sunday mornings. And if you dry clean those, they last forever. Problem is, dry cleaning has gotten stinking expensive. It cost me $400. Of course, I dry cleaned about 25 shirts because I have enough. I have enough Tommy Bahama shirts to wear a different one. You will only see me in the same one once every 3 months, and I would rotate them. Okay, so that's because I want to take stress out of my life. So then, after sabbatical this summer, I thought, I'm going to go the next level, and so I started buying polos from Amazon to try to find a polo that I liked. I went through. I returned at least 20 polos. Some of them came in 3 packs, but then you know what the best? Now you're getting to the punchline, right? How many of you noticed I've been wearing the same shirt for a month and a half? Anybody? See, I'm telling you why. All right, and so you might care. Maybe my wife doesn't like it. I'll change for her. Okay, if I start to embarrass her. What? Yeah, right. She says, no, anyway, I think that's true. Anyway, So they go in price from $15 to $20 a piece, and they're made of a sports fabric. You can wash these 1,000 times. They look exactly the same. It's amazing. So I just, simplifying my life. Now you can take it too far, okay? And as like, this is gonna be. I like this.
Compare you, I usually don't do this, to Steve Jobs and what he did for computing. I regard you as a visionary, next generation person. It's the kind of ridiculous pressure that nobody needs.
You know, Steve Jobs was, I don't think there is another Steve Jobs. He was a phenomenal entrepreneur. We've got an incredible opportunity to try to uphold a legacy in Silicon Valley of changing the world.
Disrupting the world.
We're working 24/7 to do it.
Well, I understand that. That's exactly how you work. That's Elizabeth Holmes. She's the Theranos founder and CEO. Congratulations on all the success you've had, and I sure hope you win.
There is nobody in financial news who has been more wrong in his career than Jim Cramer, just so you know. I don't know if you... If any of you watch him, I think he's on MSNBC or something like that. But he's like just gaga over this girl, and she's trying to be Steve Jobs. She has this whole persona, but there's a reason for it.
When you work to change things, and first they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world.
This is Elizabeth Holmes. In 2015, Forbes named her as the youngest and wealthiest female billionaire, and she was hailed as the next Steve Jobs. Seven years later, she's facing a maximum sentence of 80 years in prison and became the biggest joke in Silicon Valley.
So, just so you know, if Jim Cramer ever says you are amazing, you maybe need a better idea. And just a thought. But why? Why would she do that? Why would she do all this? And here's what I want to tell you. When you don't have Jesus, all you have is wanting more. That's all there is to this life. Is get a bunch of toys. Whoever has the most toys when they die wins. With no Jesus, that's all there is. Now, I found, again, I'm doing my sermon, and I do not think this next band is a Christian band at all. But I do think, and there's another song that they sing that fits into some sermons too. They articulate a worldview that the world has, but they articulate what's at the end of that worldview pretty well. Have to click again to get it to go. Oh, here it comes. I'll have it quiet so I don't hurt all of you. See, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And everything that he's got planned, everything that he's doing, it all comes to emptiness. That's how all these famous people, that they got everything, everybody fawns over them, and it comes out that they're hooked on drugs and overdeed, or they committed suicide, or one after another. After another. It's because the best the world has leaves you saying, oh my gosh, is this all there is? There's nothing the world has that is going to satisfy. There's only one. And so how we simplify, the practice of simplifying, I have enough when I have Jesus. Give me, Lord, this is my prayer, give me less of what doesn't matter and give me more of what does. And I told you today that I wanted you to be able to say, I have enough. It's my desire for you. But the problem is that you'll never have enough. But with Jesus, we have enough. Everything is in him. His mercies are new every morning. It's all inside of him. And I wish, maybe you could do this sermon. I could give you lots of tips. I gave you one. If you want to simplify your wardrobe, it's so easy. I got my t-shirts on one side for when I'm really not seeing people, and I got my polos on the other side. It takes no brain power at all. My poor wife is, now you women, you couldn't do this. They judge you harder than they would judge me. She takes her 45 minutes just to figure out what she's going to wear. I mean, and she'll come out 3 times. How does this look? Does this do this? And I'm like, hi. And just so you guys know, that's the scariest moment in any man's life, is when his wife asks him a question like that. There's no good endings for that. And so, and I've told her this, so I'm not, I'm not talking anything out of turn. Honey, when you say that to me, I just try to figure out what you want to hear and go there, okay? And if it smells like I did wrong, I'm just cool, man, okay? I just get out of there as quick as I can. It's a painful time for us, just so you know it. But there might be some tips that person could give you. There's other tips I could give you because I've read up on this a little bit and stuff. But, what Jesus, he says it this way. He said, hey, don't store up treasures here on earth where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. This is what we don't want to talk about, is that this world is not what it's about. This world is vapor. This world is nothing. This world, when you're young, you think you're never going to, when you hit midlife, like I have also, and then, but our life is just poof. Good news to you. This isn't all there is. This is just nothing. We're going to get to see Jesus face to face. And so our prayer is a very sanctifying prayer. When I say that, sanctification is a big fancy theological word that means I became a little bit more like Jesus. Today. That's sanctification. That's all it is. It's a big fancy word, but all that word means, the sanctification process, is I became a little more like Jesus today. So it happens a little painfully, however, because it requires some things. Lord, give me less of what doesn't matter, and he'll do that. I'm so sorry to tell you this, but there's coming a day in your life when he's going to give you less of what doesn't matter, so you have to choose him. Now, I know a lot of musicians. Ron, for one. I know a couple other professional musicians. It's incredibly typical. I don't know if this happened to Ron. I got 3 other people in my name, Don and John, and then there's another guy that I met one time that had the same story. And then Zach Williams. So he talked about it at his concert last Sunday night. They said that when I got saved, I put music aside. God asked me to put it aside. And I didn't get to pick it up again for a couple of years. And God was doing things inside of them. And you know what my music was? I had an encounter with God when I was coming out of the 6th grade, 7th grade, and just, in my 7th grade year, it wasn't high school yet. Or wait, is it? No way, I gotta get my years right. Okay. Yeah, 7th grade, I did pretty well in wrestling. My 8th grade year, my last year in junior high, undefeated. That's one thing short guys can do is wrestle, just so you know. I was a good wrestler. And got into, so my 8th grade year is undefeated. 9th grade wasn't undefeated, but I got to wrestle on the varsity team. I beat this kid that was 2 years older than I was to wrestle 119. It's about 80 pounds ago. Not quite, but it's not too far away. On 119, I wrestled in the 9th grade, and that's when that was pretty cool. The wrestling cheerleaders, they weren't as good looking as the football cheerleaders. I'm just being honest with you, but they had this big light that came down, and here's a spotlight, and lots of stuff. But I was doing Bible study. So I started a Bible study in my basement when I was in 7th grade. And I would have Bible study, and by the time I was in the 9th grade, I was driving, of course, in the 9th grade, and I got back up a little bit. In the 8th grade, I'm going to tell you the story of how it happened. You can decide whether God had anything to do with it. But to 16-year-old Scott, it did have something to do with it. Okay, so I'll tell the story and you decide. But what it meant to me was that God was jerking my chain. I was in the 8th grade. I was winning every match. It was going good. But my friend, I won't tell you. You don't know these people. I'll just say they're my friends Jeremy and Weezer and Chad. I think it was Chad too. Oh, no, and Brent, my three best friends from school, who, by the way, had gotten saved because I was told them about Jesus. They all three got baptized in the Holy Spirit because I was told them about the Holy Spirit. I was in the 8th grade, and they all got radically saved, and they were all into drugs and alcohol before they got involved with me. And then they began to, but when wrestling started, my whole world became wrestling, and they all backslid. And so, they're all backslid. And I said, Lord, if you don't want me to wrestle anymore, would you let me get injured somehow, and then I'll know that you don't want me to wrestle anymore this year. And so then I didn't have that in my head. So you broke your own leg. Okay, I did. But it was within the week, my friend was jumping off his roof in a blizzard and belly flopping in this big snowbank. And he was making fun of me because I was chicken. And so I'm on the roof, and my friend he's done it 3 times. I don't know exactly. It was at least 2 times. And he's making fun of me. So if I jump off the roof in this middle of a blizzard, but my friend, though, he was landing kind of on his belly and putting his face in the snow. He wasn't, that was Brent. Anyway, and he was doing that. And so I didn't want to put my face in the snow. So when I jumped, I landed on my feet. Well, my feet went right through that new snow and broke my leg in 4 places. It was, or fractured. It was pretty broken. I had a cast up to here. For a long time. It was, of course, I asked the doctor if I was going to be able to wrestle, and he said, well, you're not going to make weight with the cast, and that was true. My mom was very mad at me, she'll remember this, because I couldn't take a bath hardly, because I had to have 6 weeks, and my leg is not just out of the tub, but it's up to my hip. You try taking a bath and not getting that. And it itched so bad, so I took the survival knife that my grandpa Rudy